In this research rundown titled, Effect of Hyperbaric Oxygen Therapy on Chronic Neurocognitive Deficits of Post-Traumatic Brain Injury Patients. It's a retrospective analysis. I like this study because it's a large group, and more importantly, I think the conclusion is very focused and very accurate. And the conclusion, just to jump right to that here, in the largest published cohort, or the group of patients suffering from chronic deficits post-TBI, so they're covering all severities of TBI, HBOT was associated with significant cognitive improvements. The clinical improvements were well correlated with increased activity in relevant brain areas. So they're actually looking at the brain. They're doing SPECT scans so they can see brain activity. So that's really, I think, a very clear and accurate way of determining if you're getting some physiological improvements to the brain, right? HBOT was associated with significant cognitive improvements in patients who suffered from chronic neurocognitive deficits due to mild, moderate, and severe TBI. So they're covering all those groups. A couple things that that sort of jump out at me. A lot of people don't realize this, but traumatic brain injuries is one of the leading causes of death and disability in the general population. It's just sort of overlooked. We don't really think of it that way. Post-concussion syndrome, PCS, we've heard about it with a lot of the athletes, especially the football players in the NFL. Symptoms that include headaches, dizziness, neuropsychiatric symptoms, and cognitive impairments. 25% of all patients experiencing prolonged PCS in which the symptoms last over 6 months. Another thing here I think is important is in the discussion, we could point out here that even though treatment started during the late chronic stages, after an acute insult, HBOT, hyperbaric oxygen, was still found to be effective regardless of the TBI severity. So this study, hands down says, you have a TBI, you have PTSD, you need to try it. It's across the board. And so what's nice in the study is that there is a nice table that shows the percentage of improvements based on the severity of the TBI. There is a separate chart that talks about memory improvement, executive function, some really important things for just living our daily lives, and some of the chronic issues that come with it, like the headaches and even the suicidal thoughts, all of that. There's tremendous improvement. I want to say, like, memory's up 44%. I mean, that's a tested number. That's somebody that they can say, hey, I took the test before and I took it after. It's kind of 44%. So if there's anything about this paper that someone might find fault in, I'd like to hear it, because it looks to me like this group they started with was 264 patients, and they ended up keeping 154 because some of the patients may have had continued TBIs or PTSD during the study, so they were really picky about anybody that might shift the study in a positive or negative way that would have skewed their conclusion. And so they kept it clean and they kept it accurate. And this study is really worth reading and looking at if you've had a TBI or PTSD or someone that has. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.